Hello, everyone. Welcome into the show. My name is Jonathan Messer, the host of Boobie Sports Show. The audio I know sounds a little weird on this because I'm currently traveling. I'm looking over the beautiful Smoky Mountains right now. It's gorgeous. I asked for you to bear with me. This audio obviously isn't good, and some of the noises might come around from outside. Bear with me. Had to get this out because we don't stop just because of a little bit of travel or so. So. This is also going to be quick. It's only going to be one episode this week. It's hard to get out. It's hard to do. Um, I'm trying my best. It's going to be late, but it's going to be quick. We're going to review the games from last week, and we're also going to pick some games. We're going to give the booby poll, and we're going to give some best bets. So since we got to fly through this pretty much, let's just jump right into it. A lot of shakeup, I'd say, in the top 25 for me in my power ratings. The booby poll. Hoping I don't get attacked by a damn black bear out here. But all right, let's hop into it. At 25, I got the Texas Tech Red Raiders. They're playing really well. Good football, very talented football team this year. They're a lot better than what they were last year, obviously, because, everyone knows they spent a whole lot of money in NIL. Baron Morton, I mean, he's been really good at quarterback for him. As good as you can ask, pretty much. So let's keep along. Let's keep on moving along. Let's go. 24, I got South Carolina. That loss to Vandy was not good. And I understand they lost to Lenore, or they lost to Vandy without Lenore Sellers, but 31-7 is not good. And say even that if they have Lenore Sellers, the way they played on defense, they weren't winning that football game. Neutral field favorability, they drop. All right, number 23, Ole Miss. Ole Miss drops too. And the reason they drop is even though they won, they didn't look great. Now, Lane Kiffin can go out there, obviously, with any quarterback and win after what we saw on Saturday, but it didn't look great. Number 22, I got Nebraska. Nebraska jumps back into the booby poll. They were out for a few weeks. I had them in my initial poll, but they dropped out a little bit. But now they're back in. Big game against Michigan at home this week. We're actually going to predict that game later in the show. Show me something. All right. Number 21, Auburn. I think Auburn dropped one or two spots, none too major. They just, you know, other teams look better. It's fine. Number 20, I got Illinois. They just handle business. Not much else to say. Missouri. Missouri looks really good. They beat Kansas. That's their marquee win. Now they have a big game against my 24th ranked team, South Carolina. That's going to be a big test to see where exactly they're going to be in regards to these other teams. 18, I got Michigan. Michigan looked really good on Saturday. Blew out the local elementary school team. Happy with what I saw from them. Good bounce back by Bryce Underwood. Number 17, I got Utah. Huge game against Texas Tech. Devon Dampier still looks great. A Kyle Whittingham led team is not going to stay down for long, and that's obvious. Number 16, I got Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's looking really good, man. Diego Pavia and the Fighting Commodores looking really good. I'm happy with what I see from them. I predicted them to beat South Carolina. I was correct about that. Let's see how it goes this week. Revenge game against Georgia State at home. 15, I got USC. Dropped a little bit just because of stuff happening around them, but also they didn't look great against Purdue. Their first conference, now I understand it's Purdue, but their first conference test, so it wasn't perfect. Sorry. Number 14, I got Georgia Tech. Man, I I predicted them to beat Clemson, and I was correct. The Fighting Haynes Kings, pretty much. I mean, the dude, he ran the ball 30 some odd times against Clemson. Not necessarily a recipe to win the ACC championship, but certainly a recipe to beat Clemson. Number 13, and this is, you know, I had to drop him. I got Texas at 13. I believe I had him at 3 last week. That team cannot move the football. Arch Manning is not living up to close to what the hype was. We'll see how it goes this week. They got another cupcake, but That cupcake is actually on Boobie's best bets. We'll get to that a little bit later. Number 12, I got LSU. LSU, I think I had at 6 last week. They fell. You know, if you look at that game, Florida was in the game the whole game, even up until the 3-minute mark. And that shouldn't have been the case. They threw 5 interceptions. Obviously, that offense is not clicking right now, but that defense looks really good. Number 11, Bama moves up, I believe, a spot. They're showing the talent that I predicted to win the national championship. They're showing that talent. Let's see what it's going to be next week against Georgia. That's the big test in Sanford Stadium. Number 10, Texas A&M. They shot up because of what they went and did at Notre Dame. Forget forget the fact that Marcel Reed had a sub 50% completion percentage. He was bombing the ball down the field. That vertical passing game they got is dangerous, man. That's something to really look out for when it comes to SEC time. Number 9 got FSU. They're idle, but no reason to fall. Still reason to go up. I really like what I see from them. Number 8, I got Notre Dame. I think I had Notre Dame at 4 or 5. I believe I had them at 4. Just fell a little bit. I mean, I was hard pressed to drop them, to be honest with you. They look really good. I'm happy with what I saw from CJ Carr. They were a fumble snap away from losing or from going into overtime. I mean, they lost on what, 4th and 11, last play of the game, pretty much. Like, let's be real here. CJ Carr looks good. The secondary is very, very, very shaky. We'll talk about that a little bit more in the recap. Number 7, I got Oklahoma. Look good. They just went and whooped Temple at Temple for some reason. Someone want to explain that to me? Whatever. They look good. Number 6, a team that lost. I got Tennessee at number 6. I jumped them up because there's no reason that they shouldn't. Last week I had Tennessee, I think 11. I was very encouraged with what I see, or excuse me, with what I saw from Tennessee. The Vols, baby. Look at them. Joey Aguilar balling out. Number 5, I got Miami. Miami's up 3 spots, beat the crap out of a team that they should have beat the crap out of. That's all there is to it. I know South Florida had the hype because they beat Florida, but in all honesty, Florida should have handled them. Moving to number 4, I got Georgia. Georgia had at 7 last week, jumped up 3 spots. They look really good. Defense got to lock in. Same with Tennessee, but defense has to lock in. But Gunnar Stockton proved that he can go out and win football games for Georgia. That's not something we knew, but it's something he showed on Saturday. Number 3, Penn State fell 1 spot. Just, I mean, shaky a little bit in the first quarter against Villanova, really turned it on at the end. Ohio State falls 1 spot, nothing because of what they did. I mean, they weren't great against Ohio, but Ohio's a really good football program. That Maction, baby. The real reason they fell along with Penn State is because I got Oregon at number 1. In my opinion, Oregon has looked the best out of any college football team so far, and I would pick Oregon to beat any team neutral site. Let's remember that neutral site right now. I know they got a date with Oregon in 2 weeks, or Oregon has a date with Penn State in a whiteout game at night in Happy Valley. That's at Penn State. I don't know who I'm taking that game yet, but I got Oregon at number 1. All right. That's the poopy poll for this week. A lot of shaking up. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. Or if you agree, let me know in the comments. Just let me know, man. Let me know. Okay. I'm just gonna do a quick preview, kind of just really just running down a little bit of what happened in these games from last week. We can go ahead and start with the game that I called outright. Georgia beats, or excuse me, I'm all flustered. It's a little late filming this. Bear with me a little bit. Clemson goes into Georgia Tech and gets beat in Atlanta, Georgia, 21-24. Haynes King is a dog. I mean, I'm telling you right now, if one of those, I think his team really rallies around him. I think if you would ask one of those everybody's got some crazy O line. That O line room is probably crazy at Georgia Tech. If you ask them to cut off one of their fingers for Haynes King to be able to play, they'd do it. That dude, that team loves him, and he's a dog. Clemson is just not the program they used to be. Um, I really was hoping, and I really thought that this year was going to be the year they were aiming towards, and it was. But I thought they were going to be able to put it together. Just simply not the case. They don't look good at all. Kate Klubnik doesn't look like a senior. I mean, this is bad. Dabo, you need to get it together over there. And Dabo going on a rant. He was just looking to go on their rant. I mean, what was the question? I think the reporter asked him, what play would you have wanted back against Georgia Tech? A very non-provoking question. And he just went on like a 13-minute rant. Not looking good in Clemson Death Valley right now. Next game, Georgia beats Tennessee 44 to 41 in overtime. Let's go ahead and lay off Tennessee kicker a little bit, guys. All right, bad stuff happens, and I understand that it's wanting to break a 8-year win streak, but football happens, right? And when you get in rivalry games that have long streaks, really weird stuff happens. Think about Antonio Callaway on 4th and 17. Will Grier, Antonio Callaway against Tennessee scores to win that game. Like weird stuff happens in streaky football games. But in this game, you should people like to talk about Georgia's culture as it relates to speeding and reckless driving, but that's not culture. Some of that stuff can't really be dealt with from a program level. Culture is getting down by 2 touchdowns on the road against the hottest team in the country and coming back and winning a game that you weren't supposed to necessarily win. Like I said in the top 25 video or portion of this in the Boobie poll, Gunnar Stockton proved to me that he can win games for Georgia, not that he can manage the game. He showed that he's got the it factor that he can go out and win football games. On the other side of that, Joey Aguilar turned the ball over a little bit at the end. Nothing backbreaking, nothing that alarms me because he did have turnover issues, but I'm not alarmed by the turnovers he committed. I'm really happy with Tennessee's offense. Chris Brazzell, and this is, I wasn't necessarily right in my predictions much this year, but if you go back and look at team previews and what I said about these players, I nailed it. I was spot on with a lot of these guys. I said Chris Brazzell is going to break out this year. Dude's been a stud, and he was amazing in that football game. Really happy with what I saw. Both teams need to clean up their defenses. My goodness. I will say I'm a little more worried about Tennessee's defense than I am Georgia because some of Georgia's stuff was just small little things like slipping, that type of stuff. Tennessee's got to lock it in on defense if they want to make a run at anything. But I believe in the leaders on that defense. I've mentioned Arion Carter 3,000 times because I believe he can get them right. Florida LSU. Oh, goodness. Should have saved this for last. DJ Lagway those 5 interceptions. Everything we thought DJ Lagway was going to be this year, he hasn't. And he's a good kid with a good head on his shoulders, but I don't know if he's going to be that because look at quarterbacks once their confidence gets shot. I mean, you were looking at him he should have been benched. Not necessarily for the whole season, but for the rest of that game, he should have been benched. You can look at a quarterback, especially a young quarterback, in their eyes and see that they don't have it that day that they lost the confidence in themselves. I experienced it a lot with Sam Howell in Washington. The dude came out was the leading passer for the first few weeks, was balling out, and he lost the confidence in himself. That happens. DJ Lagway did that. And I know I'm talking about the losing team first here. I never do that. I'm sorry, and I shouldn't. I'm a Florida fan. Y'all know this. But how is that not the leading headline in this football game? That the preseason, well, many people's preseason number one quarterback in the SEC came out and threw 5 interceptions in his first SEC game. some bad stuff brewing at Florida, but that defense is really good. LSU has got to figure something out on offense. I will say, Florida is one, might have the best defense in college football. They've given up 2 touchdowns all year. They've lost 2 games, but they're just not clicking. They have so many weapons on that offense, and it's just not clicking. Garrett Nussmeier's having to move out of the pocket a little more than I'm comfortable with for him, and it's clearly more than he's comfortable with because that's just not his style of play. That's not how he quarterbacks. The defense though looks really good. Targeting, we got to clean that rule up in college football because there's no reason Whit Week should have been kicked out of that football game for playing hard. Like, let's be so. I was about to say, let's just be serious, please. They got to fix that. But I'm really happy with LSU's defense. Offense has got to pick it up a lot. Lastly, Texas A&M defeats Notre Dame in South Bend, 41-40. I mentioned it in the Boobie poll. Notre Dame lost this game by a misheld snap on the kick and a 4th and 11 conversion. Excuse my yawn. That's just football happening. I mean, I have not. Please sell your stock on Notre Dame because I'll buy it all. I'm so happy with where this team is at, especially offensively. Defensively, I'm not. Defensively, the secondary looks horrible. I was a big proponent of how well I thought this Notre Dame secondary was going to play, but they don't look together at all, and they're giving up huge plays. And the pass rush has not looked very good either. I thought it was going to be a lot better than it is. Boubacar Traore has looked good. He's continued to look good. Dude, I mentioned before the season. But other than that, they're not getting really anything done up there. I need to see more. Marcel Reed has the it factor. Not necessarily the greatest game percentage, completion percentage wise, but it didn't matter because he got it done. When he needed to scramble, he scrambled. When he needed to put it down the field, he put it down the field. And this is the big kicker. When he needed to take the check down, he took the check down. Something he hasn't really been, didn't really do last year. Happy to see that. The dude's a baller. I mean, what a guy. And they got the surrounding talent around him. I actually went back and rewatched that game while I was in class, actually. I was in the middle of the experience of literature, my 1 o'clock class at the great Middle Tennessee State University. And I was rewatching that game, and they looked really good. Both teams. I was happy with what I saw both teams, but Marcel Reed looked really good. Okay. Sorry for the long pause again. My goodness, that was a big yawn right there. I hope y'all didn't hear that. I think we got through those pretty quick. And I do want to hop into these game previews really fast. I don't want this video to be very long. There's not going to be much editing and not much graphics just because I don't have the time or the resources right now to do it. But we're gonna hop into these games. Let's see. Let's see. What game do I want to pick first? How about the homecoming party that Oklahoma is throwing Jackson Arnold. Do we think they're throwing a party for him? Warm-hearted welcomes? Probably not. Let's just go ahead and get into it. Here's the endpoint here. Oh, hey, real quickly, actually, these are going to be quick previews and predictions, very quick because we got to get through this. So I'm not going to do the whole key players. We're not going to get too much into the weeds of it. We're just gonna get through this. Okay. Quick cough. Sorry y'all had to hear that. Auburn goes in to Gaylord Memorial Stadium, Norman, Oklahoma. The Sooners, the hottest team in college football right now. Jackson Arnold, homecoming. What's this game going to be? Well, I'm going to try and tell you. Like I said, Jackson Arnold coming home. That's the biggest storyline here. 5-star guy didn't work out at Oklahoma last year. What's he going to be at Auburn? Well, we've gotten a little taste. And that taste so far has been running the football, but he's going to have to pass. This Oklahoma team is really, really good. Jeremiah Cobb is going to have to back Jackson Arnold up in the run game. And this is something that I really believe in. And if you've watched the show a few times, you know that I say this a lot. You have to have a running game that can take the pressure off a quarterback, especially when it gets to points where it's 2nd and 7 or 2nd and 8. You got to be able to run the football to get it to 3rd and short. If you're relying on quarterbacks to make plays on every 3rd and long, you're not going to win football games. With that being said, I've talked about this receiving core a million times. Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton can make plays. You're going to need them to out athlete people. And listen, you're going to get the highest praise from me about Oklahoma's defense and their scheme and what Brent Venables does there. But there's some people who aren't human, and Cam Coleman is not human. He is an alien. And he's going to make plays against even the best players in any secondary. You're going to need him to go up and make some plays here that Jackson Arnold just tosses him the ball and says, go make a play for us. The O line needs to play well against Oklahoma's defensive line. There's talent all over this defensive line for Oklahoma. In the pass, especially passers, they're really good against the run, but this pass rush is nasty. Between Marvin Jones Jr., R. Mason Thomas, and Taylor Wine, I mean, they're finding R. Mason Thomas and Marvin Jones were the original starters this year, but they are having to find a way to get Taylor Wine on the field at all times. They're starting him, and he's a backup edge guy. They're running packages with three edge rushers just to get the guy on the field. And Taylor's a guy that I know, and I'm not just hyping him up like this because I know him. The dude's a phenomenal football player, and they're having to find ways to get him on the field. The buzz around him during camp was very, very real, and Oklahoma and the rest of the nation are starting to see that. What's this Auburn offensive line going to do? They ran the ball well. They're able to lean on some of these teams like Baylor because Baylor doesn't have a very strong defensive line. You're not just going to be able to lean on Oklahoma. Let's shift over to the other side of the ball. Actually, let's stay here for a second. I missed something. Can Oklahoma's secondary constrict what Jackson Arnold, kind of what they did to Bryce Underwood? And the way I use the word constrict is, just at certain points of the game, just take away the certain part of the field, like the deep ball on 3rd and long, let's take away the intermediate pass, constrict the field to the point where we're making him take that check down and we're making him take a shot because the middle of the field is not going to be there on 3rd and 11, if that makes sense. Okay, now let's flip to the other side of the ball. John Mateer, who I think right now, if I had to guess, would be my Heisman pick as of right now. Can Keldrick Falk and Kieran Crawford contain him? I haven't been blown away by this pass rush so far. I think they should be a lot better, especially Keldrick Falk. I had a lot. Wow, Acorn just fell down. Sorry. I had a lot of hype that I built up for Keldrick Falk, and he really hasn't lived up to it yet this year. This is the game to do it. Get after John Mateer because once he gets outside of the tackle box, all hell breaks loose for your defense. Good luck because that's already a secondary who's been very hot and cold. They're very talented, but they're very young. And we saw the highs and lows against Baylor. There are plays to be made against that secondary, but that secondary is so talented that they will make plays. Keep John Mateer in the pocket. If he's not in the pocket, you're not going to win this football game. Auburn running the football, or excuse me, Oklahoma running the football. Jaden Ott has been banged up. So they haven't really used him, obviously. That's just complete logic. What about Tory Blaylock? Excuse me, Tory Blaylock. What is he going to be? He's been a guy who's been a little inconsistent this year, has some good totals against some relatively bad, I'm not going to say bad, just little dog teams. Are him and Jane not going to come through and ball out? because John Mateer's probably going to need it. John Mateer can't be the sole person running the football. Well, let's get into the spreads here. Oklahoma's favored -6.5 at home. Money line is -250 for Oklahoma, +202 for Auburn, and the over/under is 46.5. Who do I got to win this game? It's my second time picking against Auburn. I got Oklahoma. I think they win this game handedly, but I think it's pretty contested. I don't think it's a blowout, but I don't think it's a nail biter necessarily. I really do think John Mateer just makes a few more plays. And I think Auburn kind of gets a wake-up call with how much they've been relying on this run game, especially quarterback run game. I think Oklahoma takes it away a little more than the teams they've been playing have been able to. So give me Oklahoma to actually cover the spread and Oklahoma to win at home against their former five-star guy and former what we thought to be their franchise program quarterback in Jackson Arnold. All right, first prediction out of the way, taking a sip of water here. I'm not excited to see what this audio is like when I get on here to edit this, but sometimes you got to bite the bullet. Let's see, what game do I want to go to next? Let's go. Let's go the game. We'll save that for last. Let's go Texas Tech, Utah. Yeah, that's gonna be a fun one, man. Oh, and actually, I'll save that for the end point. This is gonna be a fun game. Okay, let me find. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to find the paper right now. All right, end point here. There's zero skill in predicting this game. If I get it right, actually, let's go back. Only skill is if I pick this game right. Obviously, I'm joking. I do think there's zero skill in picking this game. Texas Tech goes into Utah. Who's got it? Who's going to win? Kyle Whittingham's going to ride his motorcycle to the game. Is that going to give him points on the field or just oral points? I guess we'll find out. Let's talk a little bit about this Texas Tech defense, man. I like to go into offense first, but I, I love the flip that these guys have made. This D line is so good to the point where you got starters from last year running in the 2 and 3 deep just because of the guys they brought in the portal. We know NIL went crazy this year in Lubbock. So, and especially Romello Heights, David Bailey, guys off the edge are amazing. One of the best pass rushing duos in college football. The secondary, though. They played a few cupcake teams, and the secondary hasn't been great. I I I hesitate to say I'm worried about it because I'm not. It's just something that I'm a little uneasy about because Devon Dampier will take advantage of it because he's a great athlete. He's a great quarterback. This run defense is really good. If Utah is going to want to win this football game, which I'm assuming they do, Devon Dampier cannot be their only offense running the ball. Wayshawn Parker is going to have to step up. He's been good, don't get me wrong, but he hasn't been great, and he hasn't been what I was hoping he would be necessarily. Now, they're playing these cupcake teams, and his stats look good, don't get me wrong. But if you go back and look at the tape, he's just missing some stuff. That's all it is. He's missing some stuff that can get cleaned up in the film room. That's why I'm not too extremely worried about it. But he's going to have to take some pressure off Devon Dampier because we've seen a million times that quarterback running the ball is good for your offense, but it can't be your main source of rushing in a football game. Speaking of Utah's offense, let's get some receivers to step up. I really want to see Ryan Davis really come to into his own. Buff dude, that's a big football player. That's a big receiver. He should have a good game and he should break out. Devon Dampier is going to need him. And that offensive line for Utah is always good. Utah's never not going to have an offensive line, except for last year. I mean, that's a one-off year. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Texas offense against Utah's defense. Utah's defense. Sorry for the yawn there. Utah's defense is really good against the rush, but elite against the pass. John Henry Daly is an elite. He's an elite guy coming off the edge. Like when I tell you, I think the dude has 5 sacks already this year. He's gonna wreak hell for Texas off or Texas Tech offensive line, and they do have a good offensive line, but that's some havoc coming at you, man. I already talked about in the Boobie poll. Baron Morton, I mean, 70.4% completion, 923 yards, 11 to 1 touchdown to interception ratio. That's tied for the best in college football. Dude's taking care of the ball. Terrence Carter at tight end, 10 receptions, 194 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That's very complimentary to the receiving crew. Because listen to my boy Coy Eakin. 12 receptions, 245 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Dude's balling out right now. And this this is something that I see with Texas Tech, and I also see with Indiana and Indiana. We're gonna pick the Indiana Illinois game later in the show. Cameron Dickey, JaCoy Williams, and Adam Hill, a trio of running backs that all get good carries, they all get good playing time, and they all get good yards. They're all three of them are really good. That's tough, man. When you're just getting bodies thrown at you, especially in the fourth quarter at running back. It's like, think about Derrick Henry. Every time you run up on Derrick Henry throughout the game is another play. As another play goes on, the less you want to hit him. Well, these guys are fresh, so the less you're going to want to hit them as the play goes or as the game goes on. Let's go into the spread here. Utah is actually favored at home 3.5. -3.5. That's home field advantage right now. So they're telling you it's a pick 'em right now, which why I said there's no skill in picking this game because I agree. Utah money line is -160. The over under is 57.5. Do with that information as you will. So my pick here, this is what I want to say. Utah's really a model program and is always physical. Devon Dampier is a stud, man, but I flip-flopped on this game a lot, but I'm gonna roll the dice and I'm gonna take Texas Tech and their talent, man. That talent roster is unbeknownst to the Big 12 in recent years. I think they win this game super, super close. And I think them having three fresh running backs in the fourth quarter really puts them over the edge. I think this game is as close as football games get. But Texas Tech wins a close game in Utah. All right. Sip of water. Whoa! Cap almost fell. Another acorn falling. Hope y'all didn't hear that. Let's see, what games will we be predicting next? Let's go Illinois, Indiana. Let's go ahead because we touched a little bit on it. All right, endpoint here. The Illinois Fighting Illini are going in to Indiana to face the Hoosiers. No, this is not a basketball game. This is a football game, baby. Let's go. Let's get into it. Illinois on offense, Luke Altmaier. Everyone, he's become a household name, and I'm happy about it because the dude's balling. At running back, I've talked a lot about Aiden Lowry because I thought he was going to be the featured back, and he is still their starting back. But Caden Fagan is really taking the role lead back in bell cow, and he's balling out. But that's still, I mean, adding in Aiden Lafferty, or I can never figure out how to pronounce this dude's name. I heard them call him Lockery. I've heard Lafferty, and I've heard Lowry. Let's just go Lockery because that's what they said on the broadcast. Aiden Lockery is still a dog, so adding them together as a duo is really good. Hudson Clement at receiver hasn't really been what I was hoping. Transfers in from West Virginia. I was hoping he was going to be a guy, man, and he just hasn't. But it's okay because Hank Beatty has been insane. Hank Beatty is one of the best receivers in the Big Ten and one of the best in the nation, in my estimations. But this is what I really want to get into here. Can this offensive line protect Luke Altmaier? 4 sacks last week against Duke. And I understand Duke has a pretty good pass rush, but man, 4 sacks? Got to be better than that. Because Indiana on defense, actually, I just want to keep Indiana aside. We'll just go to Indiana or Illinois' defense because I'd like to talk about Indiana as a team as a whole. So, in Illinois secondary has got to play together better than what they have. Because that Duke game, if you go back and watch that game, turnovers killed Duke. They were able to move the football pretty well, especially through the air. Darian Minta played well. He had 300 plus yards passing. They are pretty good against the run, though. You're not just going to be able to run the ball on this Illinois team, which is kind of a flip of what we thought. Because Illinois had some unproven guys transfer in the portal, but they had, I believe, 4 guys returning in the secondary. So it's kind of a flip flop of what we thought was going to happen. I do want to see the pass rush come through a little more and help Gabe Jackas because Gabe Jackas has been ridiculous. I think he has 3.5 sacks. That's a dude that I talked about a lot before the season, especially when it came to Illinois. Let's get some guys to step up with them. He can't be the only one getting pressure on the quarterback. Okay. And this is why I want to talk about Indiana on their own a little bit because I can't get a read on them. Guys, they go out and they play Old Dominion, and Old Dominion plays them really close, 27-13, I think the final score was, or 27-14. But then you look at Old Dominion and they just blew out Virginia Tech. I understand Virginia Tech is a descending team and maybe program right now, but they beat the ever living dog out of them, man, at their own stadium. So that encourages me some, but Indiana's just played cupcakes. They looked really good against Indiana State last week. The Sycamores, better basketball program than football, obviously. But I just don't know what I'm gonna get. I don't know what to believe. But let's just get into it a little bit. On offense, the one thing that I do know for a fact is Omar Cooper is ridiculous at receiver. That dude's so good. Oh my goodness, how fun is that guy to watch play? Elijah Sarah is also really good. That's a pretty good duo you got there. Playing with Fernando Mendoza. Mendoza transfers in from Maryland, and he's just been good. I mean, there's nothing else to say. He's been good. He can take off if he needs to. He's a traditional pocket passer, but if he really needs to take off and go, he can do that. That's not his game, but think about Josh Allen and what we saw on Thursday night. Now, obviously, Josh Allen, part of his game is running because he's a scrambler. He can move, he can get out of the pocket. He's a true dual threat. But in that game, he only ran when he needed to. And to be honest with you, that's Fernando Mendoza. He just runs when he needs to. Like I mentioned in the prediction before with Utah and Texas Tech, Texas Tech has 3 guys that can just run the ball. Well, so does Indiana. Roman Hemby, Kalen Black, and Lee Bebe Jr., all 3 are going to be fresh, and all 3 can run the hell out of that football. And they'll bring hell unto Illinois' defense if they get tired and they're able to lean on them. Let's move over to the defense a little bit. Indiana on defense looks good. They need to be better against the run, but the secondary looks good. And I got it in my notes right now. Who the hell knows? That we don't know because they're so unproven. That's why this game is so hard for me to pick. Indiana's favored by 6.5. I don't know how that line is that big. Indiana's minus 230. Illinois is plus 188 in the money line, and the over/under is 52.5. I got to take Luke Altmaier and the boys in Illinois, and the only reason is because I know a little bit more about them. I've watched equal amount of football. I've watched both of these teams play, but I know more about them because they've actually played teams that have battle tested them. I think Luke Altmaier makes a few more plays, and I think Illinois wins in a close football game. Excuse me for the yawn. My goodness gracious. A little bit tired if you can't tell. Got three of those out of the way. Got two more games to pick. We're gonna keep Miami and Florida last. So that brings us to excuse me, gotta find it in my notes, guys. Sorry. Perfect. The Bussin' Bowl, baby. All right. Endpoint here. The Bussin' Bowl. Michigan goes to Lincoln, Nebraska. What a game this is going to be, man. This is a true breakthrough point for Nebraska right here. Can they do it? Only time will tell. Let's talk about a little bit of them on offense. Dylan Raiola. This has to be the game. He solidifies why he was a five-star and the number two quarterback in the class. This has to be the game. The receiving core has put up pretty good numbers, but they haven't played as well as I was hoping. I'm not worried about it at all. Because when you listen to these names, anybody who's deep into college football, who's a college football sicko, knows these names. Ja'Cory Barney, Dane Key, Naziah Hunter. I mean, that's a stacked receiving core. And Raiola's really been piecing it out to these guys evenly. I like to see that. I want to see Dane Key be the number one guy, though, because I think he's got number one receiver potential. And this is one of those games where it's time to show it because that Michigan defense is pretty freaking good. But Nebraska can also run the ball. Emmett Johnson has over 300 yards already. Dude is really good. And you know why? Because he's sitting behind one of the best run blocking defense or O lines in college football. Now, that same O line needs to work on their pass blocking, especially against a team that's really good on defense. Now, Michigan it hasn't been amazing off the edge pass rushing, but Michigan's Michigan. That's a defensive football team. It's bred into the life and the blood of that program. Let's go into a little bit flipping the sides of the ball for both teams. Michigan on offense, Bryce Underwood. What will he be in this game? That's a freshman going to a very hostile environment. He did it once, though. And honestly, you look at the numbers in that game, don't look great, but I think he played pretty well, to be honest with you. I think Oklahoma threw some stuff after him that he handled well. That Michigan O line let him down. They suck. And I think they're not very good in general, to be honest. I I said before the season it's something that I'm worried about, and then they go and get two injuries on the offensive line. I'm worried about that. I'm worried about Michigan's offensive line against Nebraska. Good thing for Michigan's offensive line is Nebraska hasn't had much of a pass rush. That's really gotta take Nebraska has to take advantage of this shot to go get Michigan, and part of it involves the pass rushing stepping up. But they are good against the run. So Justice Haynes has been elite this year. Yeah, he's been elite. I don't know if I expect him to just go out there and run 800 yards against Nebraska this week because Nebraska's run stopping defense is good. This secondary is elite. This is the number one rated secondary as far as points, or excuse me, as far as opponent passing yards per game. And I mentioned them before the season. It's a very mixed bag group, but very talented group, and it showed that they are really freaking good. Bryce Underwood's going to have some stuff thrown at him, like he did last week, that he's not necessarily going to be prepared for. Not because Michigan's staff can't prepare him, just because good defensive coordinators, which Nebraska has, are going to throw something at you that you haven't seen on tape yet. And as a freshman, it's harder to pick up on that than it is as a redshirt junior or so. So let's get into the spread a little bit here. Michigan is favored by 1.5 points. Michigan's money line is 115, Nebraska's is 104. That should show you how close this game is. Nebraska's not even and the plus for the money line. The over-under is 47.5. Who do I got winning this game? Well, if you asked me yesterday, probably would have been a different answer. Taylor Lewan, that man fired me up, really wanting me to pick Michigan, but he called me personally. Taylor Lewan, it's the dog, that's the homie. He called me personally, said, Jonathan, this is why Michigan's going to win this football game. He really riled me up. That is a big game program that really steps up when the time is big. But I think this is the year that Nebraska gets him. I think Dylan Raiola really steps onto the national stage in this game. And I think he plays enough complementary football to Emmett Johnson to win this football game. I think Michigan's able to run the ball pretty well, but I think Nebraska's defense is able to keep the run game at bay. And I don't, I think Michigan, I could start at Michigan at receiver right now. Obviously, that's not true. Don't take that the wrong way. But I'm saying their receiving core is not very good, and Bryce Underwood doesn't have the weapons. And going in and playing against the number one pass defense in college football to one of the most hungry teams in college football, it's not good logistically. So give me Michigan to win a very close, or excuse me, give me Nebraska to win a very close football game. I'm just speaking way too much in this episode. A lot of it's because of how flustered and tired I am just through all this travel. But oh, perfect. Now we got to pick Florida, Miami. Great. Oh, Lord. Sorry. Let's get into it. Billy Napier and the Florida Gators roll into Hard Rock Stadium, an NFL stadium at that, shared stadium to play the Miami Hurricanes. The rate that Miami's so hot right now. They look I mentioned it before how great Oregon looked. The only other team that I think could contest Oregon and how good they've looked is Miami. Let's get into this game a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about, I already talked about Lagway, but let's do it in the preview a little bit. Lagway throws 5 picks. OJ Federique and this Miami secondary, which we thought was going to be a little bit of a struggling group at the beginning of the year, proves that it hasn't. But they're probably going to have a field day with Lagway. I talked about it in the Boobie poll segment, but we're in a new segment, and this is going to be clipped and put out. When a quarterback loses his confidence, it's impossible for him to play well. It just is. And DJ Lagway has lost his confidence. Now, whether he gained it back this week at practice and through sent through film and game planning, I don't know. But history tells us he probably hasn't. And I'm worried that that secondary is going to give Miami's pass rush enough time to get home to the point where Lagway is just sitting back there and holding onto the football. And Ruben Bain might break DJ Lagway in half. DJ Lagway's a big dude, but my goodness, I have a feeling he's going to take a beating this game. Not because of I still stand firm in this the fact that I think Florida has one of the best offensive lines in college football. I just think Lagway's going to sit back there and take too much time to throw the football. And I see Ruben Bain just knocking his head clear off. My goodness, not a pretty sight. Okay. But yeah, I mean, at every level of that defense, Miami's really good. I mean, you got Wesley Bassant. I like to call him Wesley Basante just because I think it rolls off the tongue cooler. But Wesley Bassant is really good. I don't see how Florida moves the football because Florida's offense has looked anemic. And it's bad because you got weapons. Jaden Ball, give the ball to Jaden Ball. The dude's averaging 6 yards a carry, and he got 11 yards against LSU. This dude has the talent to be one of the best running backs in Florida history. And I'm not just saying that. I'm serious. And they're not giving him the football. What a waste. Vernell Brown looks amazing as a freshman. Aiden Mizell catches anything you throw at him. He also has 99 speed on the football field. You got Eugene Wilson, J. Michael Sturtevant, an amazing offensive line. There's no reason this team shouldn't succeed. but it doesn't because DJ Lagway is not playing good football right now, and Billy Napier is not coaching good football right now. Let's flip the sides of the ball for both teams. You know who is playing good football right now? Let me say great football. Carson Beck. Looks like he didn't skip a beat from 2023 to now. If you take out 2024, it looks like a linear path up. 2024 was a weird year. Georgia led the whole nation in drops. I, I really think we should throw that year out of the window for him. This is the Carson Beck that I thought was gonna show in the 2024 season. And he's balling out. He looks comfortable. He got his swagger back. I mean that man. Ooh, uh-oh, I think I got my swagger back. Not for real. This man is balling. And it's beautiful to see. When Carson Beck can spin that ball, it's beautiful to see. And he's got Chamar Brown and Mark Fletcher behind him. I mean, these dudes, and they're running behind the best offensive line in college football. How do you stop this team? And what we thought was going to be a weakness in the receiving core turns out to be an upgrade in Malachi Tony, CJ Daniels. I mean, this team's just playing great. And I will say, they're going to have their hands full because this Florida defense is what I think is the best defense in college football. I'm going to talk a little bit more about how they're going to keep Florida in this game once I get into my real prediction. Okay, let's look at the spreads. Miami is favored 7.5 at home. The money line is minus 310 for Miami, plus 240 for Florida, and the over-under is 51.5. Who do I have winning this game? I got Miami winning this game handedly. I think the pass rush really does get after Lagway, like I said before, especially in the fourth quarter. When it gets tiring, everyone's tired. I think that Miami pass rush comes through. And like I mentioned with the secondary for Nebraska con constricting the field. And I think Miami's secondary is capable of constricting certain spots on the field and getting DJ Lagway to make mistakes and Florida's offense off the field. The reason I don't think this game is going to be a blowout, and the reason I really don't think Florida's going to get blown out this year is their defense. Florida's defense will keep them in every single football game they play this year. And if Florida's offense can ever figure out how to play offense and play football, Florida's going to be a really good team. But I don't think that's going to happen, so Florida won't be a really good team. They'll just be a team with an amazing defense. Florida's defense will keep them in every football game they play this year, and they'll keep them in this game too, even though they lose. Miami wins this game. I think I think just throughout I don't know if they cover the spread. But if I you had to if gun to my head, I say Miami covers the spread. All right. That was the last prediction. We only made a comeback on my predictions here recently after that horrible, horrible 0-5 week one. And I mean, I picked Kansas State, Iowa State wrong too. How wrong was I on Kansas State? My goodness. Horrible. My goodness. All right. Last segment of the show. We got Boobie's best bets. Let's talk about it a little bit. Little endpoint here. Excuse me. Endpoint now. Okay. Wait, I can't find my I'm looking around for my here we go. Okay, sorry. Endpoint here. Boobie's best bets. Let's win you some money. Who doesn't love money? I can tell you, I love money. So let's get into it. Illinois plus 6.5 is my first Boobie's best bets. I think Illinois wins this game outright. I picked them to win this game outright. The fact that they're getting 6.5 right now is mind-boggling to me. The fact that they're more battle tested than Indiana. I know Indiana last year. I know what they did last year. Congrats. Whole new team, whole new season. I really like Illinois this year, and I think they're a better football team. Obviously, we don't know much about Indiana, like I talked about in the preview and prediction, but I like Illinois plus 6.5. Tulane plus 12.5. Tulane looked really good against Duke last week. I mean, they just got an elite quarterback dropped into their hands, and Ratzlaff because of, you know, let's not I'm gonna just say breaking honor code at BYU. That's all we're gonna say. I really like them to cover here. Ole Miss, for whatever reason, can't cover a spread to save their life. Kentucky, they didn't cover. Arkansas, they didn't cover. They're going in with a backup quarterback. That's not what scares me. What scares me is how bad Ole Miss's defenses looked and how good Tulane's offense is. They got weapons. This ain't your normal group of five team, and we've known that for the past few years because Tulane's been about it the past few years. So give me them to cover the 12.5 point spread. Oklahoma -6.5 against Auburn. I think Oklahoma wins this game outright, like I said, but I think Oklahoma's path to victory kind of here just gives them the spread to cover. I think they beat Auburn, and I think they cover the spread. Sam Houston plus 39.5 against Texas. My thinking behind this game is the fact that I don't know if Texas will even score 30, excuse me, will even score 40 points. I don't think Texas has reached 40 yet this year. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but last week I believe they didn't. I know they didn't even score 30 last week. Arch Manning has not looked like what we thought he was going to look like, and I don't think they score 40 points in this game, and that's why I'm taking Sam Houston 39.5. Even if they do, say they scored 45, I don't see them leaving Sam Houston off the board. So go ahead and give me Sam Houston to cover the 39.5 point spread. And lastly, this might come to some surprises, but I got Kent State plus 44.5 against FSU. A lot of underdogs I'm taking here. Not a lot of winners to cover the spread. I just didn't like the numbers, but I like these. And I think Kent State's been playing good football. Everyone knows that how bad they've been the past few years. Yeah, there's a new football team, and they won a game, number one, and they almost beat Buffalo last week. They lost by 3 points. So go ahead and give me them to cover spread. I think FSU comes off the bye week just a little shaky, typical stuff. I mean, it's not going to move me either way on FSU because I think they're a really good football team. I think just got to get the kinks out a little bit because you go play Miami in a week. So Boobie's best bets for this week are Illinois plus 6.5 at Indiana, Tulane plus 25, or excuse me, Tulane plus 12.5 at Ole Miss, Oklahoma -6.5 at home against Auburn, Sam Houston plus 35.5 at Texas, and Kent State plus 44.5 at FSU. All right, guys, that's the show. I appreciate you bearing with me through this bad audio, bad situation or bad circumstances to film this in. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I really do appreciate it. It really does help grow the channel, and this is something I'm trying to make into something big. With that being said, that is the end of the show. Thank you, and God bless.